Welcome back, friends. I know you all are in pinkest of your health, and even I'm in pinkest of my health, though my throat is in a bad shape for last few days. But still, we'll work and we'll continue with our classes. Today, I'm going to start something new, and that is the caseworker-client relationship. We can even say that it's a casework relationship. Fine. I have just mentioned some bullet points out here that what we'll be studying in this class. I'll be covering the topics: who is a caseworker and who is a client. Then what is counseling, or we can say the other way around, what is a relationship. Then features of worker-client relationship, or what is a relationship, purpose of relationship, principles, and then we'll sum up with a case study or an illustration. In today's class, I'll just be taking up the three main bullet points. I'll cover these points, fine? So let's move forward and let's see that we have already started about the casework. What is social casework in the previous classes? You can go back and look for those videos to enhance the conceptual framework of social casework. Though I have tried to mention in few lines, and just we'll have the summary of what social casework is. See, social casework is an art in which knowledge of the science of human relations and skills in relationships are used to mobilize capacities in the individuals and the resources in the community that is appropriate for the better adjustment between the client and all, or say any other part of his total environment. So the knowledge of how human personality grows, then how it changes with times and with the environment, then how it reacts with the life situations, and then to serve as a framework in which the individual client is better understood. Now let's move forward, and before going deep into the caseworker-client relationship, let's see that who is a caseworker and who is a client. Okay, any individual or any person who has been employed by the agency with the societally prescribed goals or the objectives. We can say that the range of the functions of the caseworker is actually defined by the agency itself. So he has to work within that prescribed format to help the client. So with the support and the limits of such role definition, and along with the relevant knowledge of human behavior, and with the skills in helping, which are guided by the principles of casework practice, the caseworker actually enters the client-caseworker relationship. Fine. On the other hand, now who is a client? Client could be anyone. It could be a man, a woman, or a child. Fine. Now, we cannot define every person as a client, so there has to be certain characteristics to that person who is termed as a client. So we can say that the client is actually a person who is under stress. We can even say that he may be in a personally quite painful situation, or in a culturally deviant condition, and therefore we can even say that he is a socially threatening position. Right? So a client is different from a normal person. He is a person in stress, a person who really needs help. He is under the turmoil condition with his own personality, with his own psychological factors. So he is actually dealing with problem and he needs a help. So he is termed as a client. So we can say that the caseworker or the counselor, along with client or the counselee, will be forming a worker-client relationship, or in other words, we can say it's counseling. In other words, we can say that caseworker finds themselves face to face with persons in situation of stress and social deviation. And through counseling, that is actually an interpersonal helping relationship, the caseworker works with the client towards his or her betterment. That is the ultimate aim of social work. Whether we are dealing in terms of casework, group work, or community work, we have to help the client in such a way that in his later life or in the future phase of his life, he is able to help himself. Fine. So through counseling, the caseworker helps the client to explore his or her thoughts, feelings, and behavior, which are actually in any way self-defeating and which really needs to be upgraded or developed, resulting in self-enhancement of the client. So counseling is actually a process, we can say. It's just not giving advice or just solving the problems, giving instructions to the client or taking care of others or simply enhancing confidence or just solving the problems. Counseling is actually more than that. Counseling is also helping others. Counseling is listening to their problems. It's a dialogue between two people, that is the counselor and the counselee, or we can say a caseworker or the client. It's about showing concern, being with others, searching with others, or even encouraging others. In our everyday lives, we simply witness various kinds of relationships. We are having relationship with our family members, with our schoolmates, with our employees where we work. So there is different settings of relationship with people. So we can say that relationship is actually a condition of being connected in a particular way between any two people or more it could be. Fine. But when we talk about a caseworker or the client relationship, we can say that it's a dynamic interaction of attitudes and of emotions between the caseworker and the client, with the sole purpose of helping the client to achieve a better adjustment between himself and his environment. In the next slide, I have tried to give the features or the characteristics of the worker-client relationship. That is, we can say that worker-client relationship is a professional relationship and that has to be positive in nature. It's very important. Fine. We can say that it's a form of help. It varies from case to case. Rapid is very essential in casework relationship. Then it results in building strong bonds between the client and the caseworker, and it fosters client's growth and even his participation in solving his own problems through his own coping mechanism, through his own capabilities and through his own potentialities. In this slide, I have tried to give certain special features of worker-client relationship. We can say that they are quite different from the ordinary relationship. How they are different? See, client's needs form the basic aim of interaction between the worker-client relationship. We can say that the sole purpose of worker-client relationship is actually the client's needs, instead of both parties' needs being involved as in most of the relationship. So this is the first difference between the worker-client relationship and the ordinary relationship. The second one is workers' involvement is in a disciplined and in a controlled way rather than simply by emotional response. Fine. Last but not the least is social work values and principles are always involved in certain kind of relationship. So whatever the client's personal characteristics or behavior is, the worker is always prepared to take part, that too in a controlled and in a disciplined way. I think this simple presentation have made the concept of worker-client relationship quite easy to understand. And do write to me. Besides, do subscribe my channel, because after going through the channel analytics, I came to know that a lot of people are watching my videos, but they are not subscribing my channel. I don't know why is it happening. So do subscribe my channel, like it and share it with the like-minded people. And by the time, do take care of yourself and of the nature around. We'll be meeting in the next class with the rest of the topics. Thank you.